You're watching House Parks Mega Worldwide, and we kind of gotta, don't we? We kind of gotta. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican response by Sarah Huckster Sandbag from the great state of Arkansas, sitting in a seat her dad once sat in, because that's how, government is a family-run business. Ask King Charles.
I'm Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Citation needed.
Being a mom to 3 young children.
And they're rambunctious. You guys know the story. Okay.
Taught me not to believe every story I hear.
Yeah, because my kids are fucking liars, all right? Look, where did you get that? Put that down. What do you mean they broke it? They did not.
So forgive me for not believing much of anything I heard tonight from President Biden.
Well, I will say that there's a huge difference between toddlers and grown people, but maybe not in your world. Maybe that's a slam on people from Arkansas.
From out of control inflation and violent crime.
Well, actually, inflation's technically under control. It's definitely an issue, but since it's not monetary inflation, we've only got a few things we can do about it while we reshore factories and shorten supply chains, and that's a long-term project.
To the dangerous border crisis and threat from China.
I blame the wall. Fucking wall, man. Trump tried to be like the Chinese. He wanted his own wall. He wanted the Great Wall of Trump, and he built it, and it made the border worse.
Biden and the Democrats have failed you.
Yeah, I really don't. I gotta say, I don't feel like they have. You know what I mean? It's like complaining that that the lifeguard at the pool has bad breath while they just resuscitated you. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoo, somebody had garlic last night. Fuck this guy.
They know it.
You know it. Dogs know it.
And you know it.
I don't actually.
And it's time for a change.
It's time for a change. That's why we need a brand new presidential election midway through it's not going to change.
Tonight, let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea.
All right, what is it?
Government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people.
I see. So I agree. I mean, I agree. I don't think, I think the stuff we found out about Trump bullying Twitter and making them do things when the Biden campaign was simply asking that non-consensual nudes be taken down, I think it's a very distinct difference between that. I don't think it's right. I think you're right, Sarah. I don't think Trump should be president again. Look at that. A bridge is being built.
Democrats want to rule us with more government control.
Government control? What kind of control? I'm sorry. Also how?
The people. Democrats want to rule us with more government control.
Government control. I see. It's rent control. That is true. New York Democrats are big on rent control. It's true, and people like Trump have been fighting it for years. So, government rent control.
But that's not who we are.
No, it's not. We don't. That's not who. We don't need fucking the FAA.
America is the greatest country the world has ever known.
Well, if it is, it's because we have a lot of things regulating what we do. I mean, honestly, if you think our financial system is fucked, wait till you get a load of China or the oligarchical money floating around in Russia. You know what I'm saying? Like, those little limits help you out long term. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why all the lines in the street don't look alike. Why they serve a different purpose, and why they're a certain measured length so that they're easy to see for the vast majority of people. Because I know you can see them, you know I can see them, but your great grandmother with the fucking who still insists on driving with the bifocals, who passes her driving test but is a little sketchy. If they were any shorter, she would miss them 30% of the time, which would raise accidents 47% and would T-bone a lot of kids on their way to fucking school and smash a lot of minivans. So regulations are useful.
Because we're the freest country the world has ever known. Not
really. I mean, honest to God, most places without, most failed states are technically the freest like countries on earth. I mean, any country where the government has just fallen, you're free as fuck. Free to get murdered, free to get driven over by a tank, or free to live in rubble. There's a lot of things you're free to do. It's the structured freedom that actually helps you.
With a people who are strong and resilient.
I don't know. I think if you listen to Jim Jordan, we're all, fatty 2x4. And none of us can think because we got fluoridated brains or some shit.
5 months ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that. I see the scar on your neck now. I hope you're okay.
It was a hard time for our family, particularly our kids, Scarlett, Huck, and George.
They sound lovely. Also, you have government health care. Please continue.
But we kept our faith and persevered.
With your government-provided health care.
Thanks to exceptional doctors here in Arkansas, a successful surgery, and the grace of God.
And government health care.
I am cancer-free.
Glad to hear it. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Through it all, I couldn't help but think about my mom. She was 20 years old and in her first year.
Most moms that survive childbirth eventually do get to be 20 years old if they haven't been already. But it's an important story.
Okay. When she was diagnosed with spinal cancer, the doctors told her she might not live, and if she did live, they said she'd never walk again.
But thanks to Jim Bakker's Tears of Jesus holy water, we poured that right down her gullet 3 times a day like a fucking houseplant, and God knows she was up there dancing. Come on now, listen here. It all moved up out of her, just Jesus raising the Lord up out of her, getting them demons up out of her spine, and that kind of, what's the point? I'm glad she survived.
And if she did walk, she'd definitely never have children.
And if she did have children, they would never walk. And if they ever had children, they would definitely never be governor of Arkansas. And boy, that Jesus Lord's juice flying down my spinal column, the magic holy water from Jim.
The daughter she was told she'd never have was
turned out to be, all right,
just sworn in as the new governor of Arkansas.
Yes, because her father was the governor of Arkansas. Please come back when you're the governor of a state with more people in it than Los Angeles.
And is speaking to you tonight.
Great. Why do you have mayors in a state that small? I'm not kidding. What the fuck is a mayor for? Why does Little Rock have a mayor? Honestly. What is that just to, like, is that hierarchy just for fucking show?
Adversity and fear of the unknown can paralyze us. But faith propels us to charge boldly ahead. We can't stand still in the face of great challenges.
No, especially if it's a tornado. A lot of tornadoes in Arkansas, and if there's a tornado coming, don't stand still. Get to shelter, or run, or unless you're part of like a twister team, in which case I'm very excited for you. I hope the thing flies and all the little baubles fly out and tell you how they start, so that Helen Hunt can, bring her father back.
You and I were put on this earth for such a time as this.
Well, lucky for me, I'm here. That's it. Imagine if I'd been dropped off in the 1920s. Shit. Boy, what a kerfuffle that would be.
To charge boldly ahead.
You're in a living room with blue velvet couches. What are you charging into? What are you going to fashion the bayonet on? A lampshade?
I'll be the first to admit, President Biden and I don't have a lot in common.
Yes, he's been around long enough to know what the fuck he's talking about, and you think you're charging boldly because you're sitting in the governor's seat your dad once had.
I'm for freedom. He's for government control.
Well, I guess unless you of course don't mean women and minorities and gay people and specifically. Obviously, you're going to put limits on those. You're not just going to let them be as free as they want. I mean, can you imagine what they would get up to? Come on.
At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country.
Yeah, and did it all without any help from her last name or her family or any. No? Oh, that's weird.
And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history.
So I guess he wins? He's like, he 2x'd you?
I'm the first woman to lead my state.
Well, you're the first woman governor. We'll see if you actually lead.
And he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is.
Well, good. I mean, I guess if they told you what a woman is, they might attack them because that's tough. Well, then why, if they can't tell you what a woman is, why are we fighting for a woman's right to choose then? Why is that one of the primary things? Why is that one of his primary? He can't tell you what a woman is. If the definition isn't narrow enough where it excludes all else, and he uses it in the normative most of the time, but uses it in the non-specific or the exaggerated when necessary for, just being, I guess, polite. Why the fuck? What motivated Democratic voters in this last year to stop the red wave, if not for the fact that we're trying to let women control their bodies? It's a weird thing. I don't know. It's a question. You know what? Put a pin in it. You're never going to get around to it. I mean, believe me, your day is going to be eaten up getting cat hair off those couches. Don't ask me how I know.
In the radical left's America, Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire.
Hard-earned? Hard-earned? My hard-on money? I beg your pardon. Most of that stuff is paid through a series of shell companies. Anything I purchase in the hard-on department, quite frankly, online, goes through a series of unnamed accounts. What kind of idiot do you think I am?
Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire.
Hard-ironed. I see. That's why they're so crisp.
But you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race, but not to love one another or our great country.
It's terrible. I don't know how it happened to me. I was taught all the same things when I was a kid. Yeah. We live on stolen land and slavery and all that kind of stuff, and yet I still love the country. Like, I don't know, like all the immigrants that have come here before I was born and since, that recognize that a country's history can be built upon and made better, and you can still recognize that shit happened in the past without filling your heart with hate for strangers. I don't know. It's weird. You guys are able to do that, right?
Whether Joe Biden
Also, I'm going to fall asleep. This is fucking boring.
believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration
Yeah, it's like a woke tractor beam.
has been completely hijacked by the radical left.
Yes, the radical left, who more than anything wanted an infrastructure bill, and more than anything wanted the CHIPS Act, and more than anything wanted $35 a month insulin, and more than anything wanted the rescue package, and more than anything wanted, I guess, defund the police and $2,000 a month in UBI. That didn't happen. So maybe I don't want to nitpick, but I think I'm finding a flaw in your assertion that he's been seized by the woke mob.
The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy.
Oh, well, I'm going to go with crazy then. It's way more interesting. Normal's just fucking boring, and I mean, my industry is pretty crazy. You could argue that many of the jobs I've had wouldn't exist if people were a little crazy. They believed in their dreams. They had that pioneer spirit. You know what's fucking crazy? Getting in a boat when you don't even know there's another country out there and settling in it just to see. You know what's also crazy? Trading with groups of people that you don't even speak the language with over time. And you know what also is crazy? Being a colony that breaks away from your monarchy when you are outmatched 10-1. It's pretty crazy. You know who's crazy? Lewis and Clark. Those fuckers were nuts.
It's time for a new generation of Republican leadership.
Okay, so fuck Trump. Oh, good. All right. Well, that's nice. It didn't take her long. 3 minutes, 34 seconds. We're into Trump's too old for this shit. He's the Murtaugh of presidents.
Upon taking office just a few weeks ago, I signed executive orders to ban CRT, racism, and indoctrination in our schools.
Sorry. Might I understand that racism has been allowed in your schools all this time? CRT, whatever. But literally, you had to do that? Wow, that didn't speak very well of Arkansas and the Christian values that you were just so recently espousing.
Eliminate the use of...
By the way, I'm talking so frequently and silly about this because this thing is a political butter knife that's been slammed in a drawer 20 times.
derogatory term Latinx in our government, repealed COVID orders, and said never again to authoritarian mandates and shutdowns.
Great. So if there's ever an Ebola outbreak or a measles outbreak or whatever, and you're in a big city and you're like, I should go home and stay with my folks until this thing blows over, don't go to Arkansas because it will be ground zero for COVID-25.
Americans want common sense from their leaders.
So you're stepping down.
But in Washington, the Biden administration is doubling down on crazy.
Yeah, but it's working. So, I mean, maybe you'd want to be more normal, but crazy's kicking ass right now. I mean, look at it.
President Biden inherited the fastest economic recovery on record.
And tens of thousands of Americans dying every week.
The most secure border in
every month.
History. Cheap.
No, the COVID had shut everything down. We had more cases of COVID than Mexico did.
Abundant, homegrown energy.
Homegrown energy. That's right, ethanol. You can just stick corn cobs in your fucking tank and then smoke the cob.
Fast rising wages.
Fast rising wages. Why they didn't rise fast in the beginning of the Trump administration? I thought he could handle that very quickly. And why were they rising? Oh, because they'd fallen. Precipitously. Right, okay, gotcha.
A rebuilt military.
Which apparently they now want to cut.
And a world that was stable. And
no. No. Just flat out, the idea that in January of 2021 that the world was stable is, oh man, it's yeah, that I would like to see a chart of. I'd like to hand her a fucking globe. Can someone please at least go, excuse me, would you like to point to a place on the globe where there was no economic pandemic or war issues going on during any particular period of time fucking ever? All right.
At peace. But over the last 2 years, Democrats destroyed it all.
Yes, Democrats by tricking Russia into attacking Ukraine.
Despite Democrats
and getting us out of Afghanistan.
Trillions in reckless spending and mountains of debt, we now have the worst border crisis in American history.
No, we don't. No, we have a lot of recidivism, same people crossing multiple times because of Title 42, which is still on, by the way. And so people are caught more often because of the wall where it is or the gaps in it. And so because they're going through those areas, they get caught, sent back, they get caught, sent back, caught, sent back. And it's this revolving door of this. So, 100,000 people looks like 300,000 in about a couple of months. Also, rip Portland. Yes, it's sad. A moment of silence, if you will, for Portland, if we could, ladies and gentlemen. Portland, we hardly knew you. As we have this moment of silence, Sarah, no. All right. You know what? If I keep this up, we're going to have to destroy Portland again.
As a mom, my heart
I don't know. Did she mention anything about being a mom earlier? This seems to be a new plot point.
breaks for every parent who has lost a son or daughter to addiction.
Yeah, but if you lost him to COVID, it's your ass.
100,000 Americans a year are now killed from drug overdoses.
No, the first time we hit 100,000 was like 70% of it was under the Trump administration. It was the incredible spike. It actually started to diminish, but go ahead.
Largely from fentanyl pouring across our southern border.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. All these people walk along the border and it just, even a little of that stuff can fuck you up. And here it is just gushing, whatever. And these people are like, look at the waterfall with blue pills. And they're like, that's Viagra. Abba, abba, abba. And
Yet the Biden administration refuses to secure the border and save American lives.
Okay, we see this all the time. Secure the border. What the fuck does that mean? Stop all immigration? Stop all goods? 90% of the fentanyl that's coming across the border is trafficked by American citizens. It's in trucks. And if at one point Abbott tried to shut down all goods coming into the United States, into Texas or whatever, and it fucked up their economy. So they went, well, we'll take a few fentanyl deaths. We got to keep the wheels greased. So the idea somehow that they keep saying secure the border. Again, what the fuck does that mean? And I think what it means ultimately is no one crosses, asylum or otherwise. And if they try, what, you open fire? You set them on fire? Hot oil? What are we doing? What does secure the border mean? Because these assholes didn't vote for for more border funding. Because they didn't like that it had money in it to process the legal claims of asylum seekers. That's why they didn't want it.
And after years of Democrat attacks on law enforcement and calls to defund the police.
Which never happened. And as a matter of fact, Biden never signed on to that and won the nomination and has been president for 2 fucking years.
Violent criminals roam free.
No, I mean, there's definitely issue in some cities with their DAs. But in general, no. Also, Arkansas's murder rate is fucked up. Check it out. You've been on the job for a couple weeks. Ask for the stats. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let's go to Arkansas murder rate. Let's just, because, it ain't. There you go. Well, she's not quite on the job yet. Little Rock, that's just Little Rock by itself. I want the whole state. I'm seeing Pulaski County, Arkansas online. Homicides at 119 at the end of 22 in Pulaski County. Little Rock killings surpassed death toll record set in 1993. Shit. Well, obviously you got those loosey-goosey DAs down there. It represented a marked jump compared with 65 deaths reported in 2021, a total which itself second only to 1993. That represents a 24% increase from 2021 to 2022. So obviously you got some work to do. And that's, like I said, that's just one city. Let's see. Does it just say, Arkansas murder rate? For comparison, nationwide, homicide rate in the nation stands at 6.5 per 100,000. How is the murder rate in Arkansas compared to the rest of the country? It's third in the nation. It's got 4 more murders per 100,000 than every other state but 2. 321 murders in 2020, violent crimes per, and it's up. This will be up from this. How to compare? Yeah, 24/7 Wall Street. There we go. This is an old stat. These are 2020 numbers. Violent crimes per 100,000 people. The only states worse than Arkansas for per capita murder are Louisiana and Missouri. By the way, you got to get all the way to Illinois, which, by the way, is a mixed state, not a blue state, and relies largely on one city, which is ginormous, Chicago, to balance the number out. But to get your odds anywhere, to get you inside the top 8, and by the way, it's tied with Maryland. Georgia's 10th, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, in the, holy shit, like, Arkansas fucking sucks.
While law-abiding families.
While law-abiding families, somebody's been taking vocal lessons from Tom Brokaw again.
Violent criminals roam free.
In Arkansas.
While law-abiding families live in fear.
In Arkansas.
Beyond our border from Afghanistan to Ukraine.
By the way, that's way beyond our border. I'm just saying, I would check her geographic knowledge.
From North Korea to Iran, President Biden's weakness puts our nation and the world at risk.
Well, obviously not those countries, you know. Oh, I get it, because they'll pick a fight, and while we're kicking their ass, they might destroy something. Is that the concern? No.
And the president's refusal to stand up to China, our most formidable adversary.
Yes, the AUKUS agreement, the CHIPS agreement, the increased sanctions remaining. Like, he kept all of Trump's tariffs and added to them, for fuck's sake. We have boats circling Taiwan. We have more Marines there. We've sent like 2 congressional delegations, and Biden said 3 fucking times we would defend Taiwan against Chinese military action. What stand up to what? Stand up to what? And by the way, one of my favorite parts of Biden, hold on, where he got fucking fiery last night, was name me one world leader that would want to change places with Xi Jinping. I was like, that's fucking incredible. Hold on. Biden, name me one Xi. There you go. Should be something there. Yeah, this was, and by the way, Greg Kelly flipped out at this online. He's like, this is weird. Yeah, here you go.
Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one. America's rallying.
Yeah. Fucking nobody. And by the way, no one has taken him up on that offer. Nobody in their pushback and in their bullshit, including her. And I mean, she had a pre-programmed response. They'd written it before. I mean, they had a draft of the fucking speech, but obviously they didn't read it because they don't do their fucking homework. But this, like, I fucking, like, that one I was like.
In the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one. America's rallying the world to meet those challenges, from climate to global health, to food insecurity, to terrorism, to territorial aggression.
By the way, that's pretty fucking intense. That's the most intense I think I've seen him, except when he talks about fucking Jan 6ers. Yeah. And nobody has gone, I bet Erdogan would rather. No, because they all know it's not true. That every single one of them can't follow up. They could not stand the follow-up question. Not a fucking, nobody has answered that. That anybody that I've seen. Like there'll be people in the thing, like, you'd like to, or whatever, like fucking trolls in places. Yeah, and they're like, they're all like angry, bad, yelling, blah, blah, blah. It's like, so is that a compliment or an insult of Xi? Says proud army brat, which is like here you go. There's a bunch of these folks like this. Betcha I know someone who would, like, again, Hillary gag. No rhyme or reason for that statement. Accusation makes zero sense. No, directly, he's saying that the situation in China and the deterioration of the autocracy there is fucked, and nobody wants that problem. Did Biden really say the news? Yeah, this is like, I can think of 100. Name one. If you can think of one, fucking say it. Yeah, what the hell does that even mean? There you go. Yeah, Old man yells at clouds. He's no longer worldly. Trump would probably jump at the chance he gets to be dictator. I see. Yeah, but that's because he's dumb. And his friends would all go, don't do it. Also, he'd have to rule a country full of Chinese people, and he's not interested.
Adversary is dangerous and unacceptable. President Biden is unwilling to defend our border, defend our skies, and defend our people. He is simply unfit to.
Also, multiple Chinese spy balloons flew over the United States during Trump. Just saying. There were spies at Mar-a-Lago. There were multiple attempts to spy on American businesses and on the government that, like, we found out after the fact or ended up directly related to people who were attached to Trump that nothing was done about. These people were there when all these fucking secrets were stacked at Mar-a-Lago. It's a joke.
Serve as commander-in-chief. And while you reap the consequences of their failures, the Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face every day. Which
is what? Look, Little Rock is a hellscape. I get it. And it's murder capital of the world. And it's your fault. Even though you just showed up, it's still your fault. It's your responsibility, and responsibility, fault. What's the difference? And I'm glad you interrupted your attempt at culling the murder rate in Arkansas to lecture us all on what a hell we live in.
Most Americans simply want to live their lives in freedom and peace.
So stay the hell out of Arkansas, I guess.
But we are under attack in a left-wing culture war we didn't start and never wanted to fight.
We don't have to start bigotry. It predates you. Like, there wasn't gay marriage for a long time. So the starting of allowing gay people to get married because it hadn't happened was the start of it. You see what I'm saying? This is like saying, we're not the one underwater. We're just the one holding someone underwater. We didn't start to get everybody wet around us. You know, we were out of the water mostly.
Every day we are told we must partake in their rituals, salute their flags, and worship their false idols.
Is she suddenly trying to understand how, like, atheists and people who have difficulty with authority live as Americans?
All while big government colludes with big tech to strip away the most American thing there is.
Pie? No. Baseball. Trucks? No. NASCAR? Monster trucks. That's what it is. What?
Your freedom of speech.
Oh, I was so close. I was like that close. It was like just under Louisiana and Missouri. That was my third one. Well, Arkansas was. That's the murder rate list. But you get what I'm saying.
That's not normal.
Yummy.
It's crazy.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
And it's wrong.
Well, we're not here to yuck anybody's yum.
Make no mistake.
I don't really. I mean, I'll flub occasionally, but it's nothing I don't fix immediately. And I think it's a mistake to just leave it there. You know, that's my thing. I think it's never wrong to double back when you say something wrong, even when you're giving a live speech like this or whatever. You don't just move along like you meant to say frigidity.
Republicans will not surrender this fight.
It's not a fight. It's a political disagreement.
We will lead with courage.
Will you, though? Because you sound a little whiny.
And do what's right. Now,
which is what?
What's politically correct or convenient.
Or polite or decent or respectful or honest or charitable or even Christian.
Republicans believe in an America where strong families thrive in safe communities.
Right. Is that what they type into Pornhub?
Where jobs are abundant.
Too abundant, even.
And paychecks are rising.
Yeah, but they got to come down at some point. Ask your economist friends.
Where the freedom our veterans shed their blood to defend is the birthright of every man, woman, and child.
and Russian anchor baby in Trump Tower, Miami.
These are the principles Republican governors are fighting for. And in Washington, under the leadership of Senate Republicans and Speaker Kevin McCarthy, we will hold the Biden administration accountable.
Again, I gotta say, accountable is one of these other throw around phrases or words like secure the border. Holding someone accountable, they are accountable. The Biden administration is accountable. They have to go, their stuff has to go through oversight. They have budgetary limitations. There are legal limits on stuff. There's constitutional limits. They have to stay within them if they want anything that they make happen to stay that way. The accountability is built into the system itself. The very system that Republicans want to tear down. You know what? You know what the fucking existence of the FBI and the DOJ and all those, even the DOD for that fucking matter. Every giant federal program we have is about accountability. It's about limitation and focus of federal activity. All of it. And if it's a place where directives from the White House can be carried out legally in the country as laws, there's a shit ton of accountability inside it. Why the fuck do you think Trump hated Vindman so much? Vindman was Trump's accountability, which he tried to skirt. Why the fuck do you think he hates NARA so much? The Biden administration's responsibility, reaction to accountability from NARA was they were ahead of the game. They went to NARA and said, look, there's some classified stuff in these boxes, and we don't even want to go through them. You guys can go through them. Here, take them. We trust you. Get them back to us when you're done. Trump fought for a year and a fucking half, busted a subpoena, and then had to get his place searched before he admitted he had other documents he had said that weren't there. Like, that was accountability. That is accountability. He's facing legal charges ultimately because of that accountability.
Down the street from where I sit
Oh dear.
is my alma mater, Little Rock Central High. As a student there,
Isn't your alma mater your college? Is your high school? Just say your fucking high school.
I will never forget watching my dad, Governor Mike Huckabee.
The other Governor Huckabee. I know it's weird that, did you guys ever laugh about that? That's weird. You're Governor Huckabee. I'm Governor Huckabee. How'd that happen?
And President Bill Clinton hold the doors open to the Little Rock Nine. Doors that 40 years earlier had been closed to them because they were black. Today, those children once barred from the schoolhouse are now heroes, memorialized in bronze.
Oh my God, those poor people. They can't breathe. Someone get down there with a metal cutter. They've bronzed people. Then they're keeping them in the Arkansas Capitol. This is horrifying. What a terrible thing to do to people. I hope you didn't dip them. Jesus Christ. At least build the thing and allow them to be shut inside of it. This is terrifying.
At our state house.
Do you hear them screaming when you walk by? Oh my God! Get the I'm the hero! Get the fuck out of this!
Proud of the progress our country has made. And I believe giving every child access to a quality education, regardless of their race or income, is the civil rights issue of our day. Tomorrow, I will unveil an education package that will be the most far-reaching, bold, conservative education reform in the country.
Yes, it will be called the United States of Arkansas. And the first thing we will do is establish ourselves as a colony and declare war on the Moors in Baltimore.
My plan empowers parents with real choices, improves literacy and career readiness.
Well, we'll see, won't we? How do you know? I mean, I'm glad you have faith in your plan. I'm glad that you're giving it the old college try. But I do want to say that if you have a bold and fresh vision, there is always a chance it will go to shit. And as a matter of fact, conservative principles were largely built on, in the early days, as a let's tap the brakes and not rush into this because there might be wolves in them thar woods. You know what I mean? Just why don't we walk a little slower in case there's any quicksand, you know? It can happen to anybody. I'm just saying, talk to us in a couple of years.
And helps put a good teacher in.
And also, if your dad was already governor, shouldn't he have fixed this shit? I mean, obviously people thought he was doing something right because they liked his name enough to hire you, but shouldn't he have solved all this stuff a long time ago?
In every classroom by increasing their starting salary from one of the lowest to one of the highest in the nation.
Great. Democratic principle through and through. Stuff Democrats talk about all the time. Also, the reason she's doing this is because there aren't enough teachers and she's having to do this. Everywhere they're having to bonus teachers to get them to come and, you know, especially to move to the sticks.
Here in Arkansas and across America, Republicans are working to end the policy of trapping kids in failing schools and sentencing them to a lifetime of poverty.
So that's Arkansas, is it? That's how Arkansas works? Also, can we just say for the record, she went to a public school, the same public school she's talking about that her dad and Clinton opened up to allow black kids in. She went to that school. Was she sentenced to a life of ignorance and poverty? Well, poverty. I went to a public school. Who went to a public school out there? And by the way, I'd like to say for the record, almost everyone who considers themselves a maverick thinker out there, Alex Jones, fucking Russell Brand, all of them, none of them went to a private school. None of them were charter school kids. All of them are, if you ask them, are you a free thinker? They'd say, abso-fucking-lutely. So what must they think of children that they think that just because somebody says something to you, you're automatically going to buy it sight unseen for fucking ever? It's this total school voucher dog whistle, no question.
We will educate, not indoctrinate our kids, and put students on a path to success.
Where they too can use nepotism to become governor of a state their father was a governor of.
It's time for a new generation to lead. This is our moment.
Not you old fucks, Trump.
This is our opportunity.
That's why I, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, am endorsing Ron DeSantis for president.
A new generation born in the waning decades of the last century.
Yeah, you put it that way, it sounds like we're all in the fucking Donner Party.
Shaped by economic booms and stock market busts.
Well, and the music of Vanilla Ice.
Forged by the triumph of the Cold War and the tragedy of 9/11. A generation.
Were you forged? Were you really forged in that? Were you forged? Or did it steal your spine? Did it?
Brimming with passion and new ideas to solve age-old problems. A generation moored to our deepest values and oldest traditions, yet unafraid.
So you're just going to go back to shit that was happening before? You're going to go back to before new changes were made, even the ones your dad made? Is that what you're doing? Is that?
Afraid to challenge the present order and find a better way forward. If we seize this moment together, America can once again be the land of the free.
Oh my God, get on with it.
And the home of the brave. During my 2.5 years at the White House,
oh God,
I traveled on every foreign trip with the president.
What president would that be? I'm unfamiliar. I slept through those years.
A trip I will never forget.
Yeah, because, sure.
Was on December 25th, 2018.
That would be Christmas, if I'm not mistaken.
My husband Brian and I had just cleaned up wrapping paper that was shoved into every corner of our house.
Are your kids just assholes, or are they hoarders? Every corner. Do you live in a round house? Did they go room to room? Is it a Christmas tradition? I don't understand.
Thanks to our 3 kids.
Those fuckers. Every corner. Well, hopefully no one bent over.
When I had to walk out on my own family's Christmas.
How terrible. Why? What kind of an asshole would make you do that?
Unable to tell them where I was going that night.
Well, I mean, affairs do have a bad effect on the family. It's obviously, you don't just ask MTG.
Because the place I'd be traveling was so dangerous. They didn't want anybody to know that the president was going to be on the ground, even for a few hours.
Little Rock? Sorry. The president was coming to Arkansas? Sorry. I mean, it could. Maybe it's not Arkansas. Maybe it's Louisiana or Missouri. Because they're possible.
We boarded Air
It was Portland. It was Portland before the fires.
Force One in complete and total darkness.
Why? Why did you take off from Arkansas in complete darkness? Oh, because it is that dangerous. So they have to do that every time a plane takes off from the Little Rock Airport. Is that Little Rock? The Little Rock Airport? I'm just saying. I think it's borderline Cro-Magnon. Wouldn't they shut the lights off once you're halfway across the ocean, or what?
There were no lights on the
Yes, that's what total darkness means.
plane, no lights on the runway.
But there was a light in our heart. Turn on your heart light. Let it shine wherever you go.
Our phones and computers shut down and turned in.
It's terrible. Again, were you going to Gitmo, or is this one of the Epstein flights? It was one of the Epstein flights, wasn't it? Yeah. On Christmas. Fuck.
We were going completely off the grid.
Oh my God. Off the grid, y'all. Like where we all dream to live. Where actually we're so free from our devices and the normal limitations of the American, system that we all are slaves to, y'all.
Nearly 12 hours later, in the pitch
Some asshole lit a match to light a cigarette and almost got us blown out of the fucking sky.
black of night,
In the pitch black of night. So it was daytime when you left. So there was a light on called the sun.
we landed in the war-torn part of western Iraq.
Oh, as opposed to the not war-torn part of Western Iraq? I'm sorry, what part would that be? Were there any non-war-torn parts? It's Afghanistan. It's Iraq.
It was again a similar scene.
I feel like I'm there. I really do. So basically, close your eyes, everybody. Close your eyes and you can picture it. Because you can't picture anything.
No lights on the plane.
Okay, I'm annoyed. This is like the drama. Jesus Christ. Just play like the Jaws theme in the background or some shit. Get over yourself. Biden went to Iraq and Afghanistan like 20 fucking times.
Plane, no lights on the runway.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah, we're still, all of us are fucking confused why there were no lights when you left America. Except for the fact that apparently Arkansas is a dangerous shithole.
The only thing you could see was coming from about a mile away.
Uh-oh. A missile?
In a dining hall were hundreds of troops who were in the fight against ISIS.
A food fight? Sorry. There was a fight. Wait a minute. There was a fight with ISIS broke out in a mess hall?
Had gathered expecting to celebrate Christmas with senior military leadership from
And unfortunately,
around the region. They had absolutely no idea
that Trump gave a shit or was so desperate to get reelected that he thought he'd fly in.
that the president and first lady were about to walk into that room.
By the way, hadn't he just lost the House in 2018? So he went there at Christmas basically because he was like, oh, fuck, I need some human shields.
And when they did, it was a sight and a scene and a sound I hope I never forget.
Okay, first of all, a sight, a scene, and a sound you hope you never forget? What are you, do you walk around concerned someone's gonna bang you in the fucking head with a 2x4? I mean, it is Arkansas. Which we understand, thanks to you, is a hellhole. We get it. I'm sorry, Arkansas. Anyways, it's your Kansas, not my Kansas. What? You hope you never forget? How about that you'll never forget? If it's that good, if you have to hang on to a memory, maybe it's not that memorable.
Room erupted.
Oh my God. Well, I imagine so. ISIS and our own soldiers in there fighting with only chicken legs and mashed potatoes. It must have looked like a Marx Brothers film in color.
Men and women from every race, religion, and region, every political party, every demographic you can imagine.
Not everyone. I'm going to guess there were no Orthodox Russians in the room. Well, I mean, they might have flown in with you. Good point. They might have been in Arkansas.
Started chanting in perfect unison.
Yes, as they should. And if anyone's out of order, there will be hell to pay. And never mind the fact that someone had told them, he's here and he's on the thing. And we all should chant USA when he comes in. Otherwise, he's going to cut off food to the base.
Over and over and over again.
So it got tiresome after a while? Was that part of the sight or the sound or the scene or the smell?
USA.
I see. Is that because that's what they thought his name was, or?
USA.
I see. Maybe they were, maybe they were saying, some of them were saying USOB and you misheard them?
USA.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going with USOB. I think they chanted USOB. I'm just going to go.
It was an absolutely perfect picture.
Isn't it wonderful? It's so great. It's a perfect picture. People in a sheltering in place, essentially eating MREs and ham, totally spontaneously shouting that the president had come visit them.
Of what makes our country great.
The Iraq War?
One of the young soldiers yelled from the back.
Yes. Officer, soldier, private, first class, somebody.
Mr. President, I re-enlisted in the military because of you. And
Because of the bonuses that they were handing out? Because
the president said, and son, I'm here because of you.
Okay. First of all, let's get beyond the fact that it sounds like that's an accusatory statement. I'm here because of you. This is the shittiest part of being president. I hate this. Like, just the language. Also, there's no fucking way he said, son, I'm here because of you. Son, get the fuck out of here. He said, I don't doubt that he said something like, I'm here because of you. I love you too, kind of stuff. But he didn't say fucking son, get the shit out of here.
Shortly after, that young soldier came up to me.
And said, ma'am, does he actually think I'm his son?
He said, Sarah,
are you my mother?
you have a tough job.
You have a tough job working for this asshole.
I told him what I do is nothing. You take bombs and bullets. That's a tough job.
Where does he take them? Oh, you mean he takes them? He takes them. I hope he's got a prescription. He takes bombs and bullets.
And in a moment that I know I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Even if you forget the sight, the scene, and the sound that happened before, which you probably will, because I barely remember it. You just told me about it.
That soldier reached up and he pulled the Brave Rifles patch he wore on his shoulder. And he placed it into my hand. A sign of ultimate respect.
And that's why I asked Trump if I could have the Medal of Honor when we got back, because now I'm an infantry soldier.
And he said, Sarah, we are in this together.
Also, I gotta say, this just sounds like a load of horseshit. I don't buy any of this. It's like, I would almost like she goes, he gave me his patch and said, we're in this together. Now, excuse me, I have to go shit in a hole. Like, if there was a punchline on it where it just was like this flowing, I'm here, I re-enlisted because of you, sir. And yesterday, I watched one of my buddies get shipped back to Dover, and you couldn't even be bothered to fucking go by and see his casket, you bastard.
Overwhelmed with emotion and speechless. I just hugged him with tears in my eyes and a grateful heart.
Oh my God.
For our heroes who keep us free. That young man and everyone who has served before him.
Whether they gave me a patch or not.
All of those who serve alongside him, and the thousands we know who will be called upon to serve after him,
are precisely why Barack Obama signed the VA Choice Act of 2014. And,
deserve to know they have a country and a community back home doing our part in the fight for freedom.
Which is what exactly? Charter schools? Do you wear the rifle patch to school board meetings?
America is great because we are free. But today, our freedom is under attack.
Oh my God. From who? Clearly not Iraqis.
And the America we love is in danger.
America, you in danger, girl.
President Biden and the Democrats have failed you.
Me? I don't know. I mean, I think there's limitations on what any president can do if they don't have, absolute control of the House and the Senate to pass bills. I mean, it's been a narrow majority ever since, but he's been doing pretty fucking good. I'm just saying.
And it's time for a change.
You said that part already. Did somebody scroll back?
A new generation.
You said that part too. Fuck, they doubled the page, didn't they? They did. She's reading the exact same chunk from earlier.
Of Republican leaders are.
I'm sorry. Of who? 1 second. A new. Okay.
Change.
What?
A new generation of Republican leaders.
Republican leaders. I see. Okay. I didn't realize Republican was a verb.
Are stepping up.
Oh, good. Good for them.
Not to be caretakers of the status quo, but to be change makers.
Oh, so to destroy what's normal and do something crazy? How do they even just are there no ums in the room? Like, I don't expect you to. I know they're surrounded by yes men, and I know that there's nobody around them that can say no, but is there anybody who can at least go, this, Governor, that part doesn't make any sense from this part. That's on purpose. There's no, don't find, I know you're never going to find a no person, but at least find an
For the American people. We know not what the future holds.
This is true. So far, the truest thing ever. The future is not written yet, Kimosabe.
But we know who holds the future in his hands.
The Lord?
And with God as our witness, we will show the world that America is still the place.
I guess she did mean the Lord. She didn't say so, though.
Where freedom reigns and liberty will never die.
Yeah, interesting. And Michael Steele pointed this out, and is absolutely right. And watching the whole thing over again, she never mentioned Trump's name once. She did not say President Trump. When I was with President Trump and I was with she just said, I was with the president. Never says Trump's fucking name. That's not an accident. Either she chose not to, her dad told her not to, or the RNC said don't. That's the biggest. I mean, by the way, this is over. This is so fucking boring.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll all survive. Bye. One of the biggest, like, obvious glaring oddities about that is the fact that she never mentions Trump's name. Not once. And while telling a story supposedly about his mythological empathy that we heard so much about from Don Jr. earlier. Super fucking weird.